By his own admission, the rise of T.D. Jakes is an unlikely story. A boy from West Virginia who would become a man of faith with international influence. Time magazine even asked on a 2001 cover if Jakes were the next Billy Graham.
If you're glad to be in the house of the Lord, put your hands together and give him a praise.
How did he get here? For him, it was a dance with destiny, the title of his latest book that follows last year's bestseller, Instinct. What birthed this book?
Well, you know, I think it's a continuation of that whole conversation of understanding how our innate instincts that God placed inside of us has something to do with our destiny, and then to connect the dots between the two, that whatever is drawn out of us was first instinctually placed inside of us because God has intrinsically placed some things in you for you to fit in a particular place of purpose. Purpose is the question that I most often ask. People are really trying to find their purpose in life, and I wrote this book for that reason. Because it is painful to be stuck.
Jakes believes everyone has a purpose and the God-given tools to fulfill them. So we asked what he thought about the destiny of Kim Davis, the Kentucky County clerk jailed for refusing to issue marriage licenses to gay couples. Do you think that she stepped into her destiny when she made a stand for her religious beliefs?
I don't know that that's so much a destiny call as much as it is a personal conviction. We'll see if it's a destiny call, because sometimes you can make a decision like Rosa Parks, okay, made a decision that certainly affected the trajectory of her entire life. And I think it's too early to evaluate what's going to come out of that. But I am so glad that her decision was the catalyst of deeper conversation.
Like other faithful followers, from the average Christian to the Pope, Jakes is no stranger to criticism.
It's okay to be controversial when you're a Christian. It's okay to be criticized. Criticism does not negate the positive. Sometimes you have to cause unrest to bring about change. All of us do.
Jakes sees the best way to counter attacks on Christian values and people of faith is to offer a positive response.
The Bible has warned us before the end time that we're going to have persecution and some things cannot be stopped. But I do think that some of the attack that comes on us as Christians is a result that we don't stand up and speak up and take control of the narrative that portrays us in lights other than identifying us by what we are against rather than knowing us by what we are for. I think that one of the things that we can do as Christians is we can either scream at the darkness or we can light a candle. We can complain about the images and the way that we are portrayed in the media, or we can get involved in media and change the way people see us.
The hospital staff said that your son was not expected to survive.
A change he's making, producing films like Heaven is for Real, Sparkle, and Miracles from Heaven, to be released next year. Willing to challenge both today's culture and even the views of Christians, he takes on hard topics like gun violence, the impact of social media, and mental health issues. Each of those were felt when a gunman targeted Christians at an Oregon college campus. Those students who were killed, many of them identified themselves as Christians. Was that a demonstration of destiny under courage?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, we salute the fact that they had the kind of courage to stand up and acknowledge that they were Christians. And I would wonder in my own mind, I'm not sure, I haven't verified, that there may be people who were Christians who did not have such courage, who now live with the guilt and the grief that maybe I have let God down, and perhaps you have, but the reality is Peter did that too, and God forgave him. Just because you didn't have that kind of courage doesn't mean that God doesn't have the kind of grace that covers your deepest, darkest fears. Because a blessing given too soon is not a blessing at all.
And it's that straight talk mixed with the gospel message that's opening a new door.
Welcome to the show. Today's show is called Courage Under Fire.
Jakes could become a household name like Oprah, Dr. Phil, or Steve Harvey. Last summer, he wrapped up a trial run of a TV talk show that's been greenlighted for national syndication next year.
What was it like for me? I loved it. To be the first minister to have an opportunity to have a daytime talk show.
Wow.
It's exhilarating to be able to reach a broader audience of people and to convey our messages in a palatable form, but still a challenging form that kind of turns the dial a little bit on our culture. For me, this is fun to get to sit down and reflect on all of the experiences I had in and outside of the church and to present them to the world in a form of solutions that they could use to galvanize them and reconstruct maybe how they feel about faith.
A pastor whose footprint in faith is expanding into new territory. John Jessup, CBN News.